Ko ngā pito kōrero o te wā, tonight on Metro News.
We look at how climate change is affecting young people.
Locals get their gloves on to clean up polluted waterways.
And art brings those affected by the mosque attacks together.
Kia ora o tautahi and welcome to Metro News.
A program brought to you by the students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School.
Floods, tornadoes and snow are hitting all around the country, and along with the bad weather comes anxiety. As I found out, programs are now available for those worrying about climate change. We live in a world saturated with climate crisis content. Once-in-a-century floods are becoming the norm, damaging winds and dangerous weather. Sustainability researcher Breeze Robertson says it's not surprising climate anxiety is on the rise.
It's really impacting a lot of young people, to the point where some young people have decided not to have families, not to have children.
In a global survey conducted by data analytics firm Kantar last year, 75% of young people thought their future was frightening, and over half thought their future was doomed. Robertson's working with other researchers in Christchurch, putting on climate events. They want to teach students meaningful action is within reach.
I think pro-environmental behaviour can often be seen as like a really inaccessible thing. I think basic things like transport, biking, busing, relying on the systems that we've got to get you around places is a really easy thing to do to minimise, just your own emissions and stuff.
Ata magazine writer Jodie Oborn gives people tips on environmental action.
We're taking the chance to go forward and seek knowledge of what you can do in order to help the environment and help our society to cooperate as a whole for a better future.
Robertson's hopeful for the future, but claims connection is key.
I look at people who are standing up for what they think is right, people who are coming to events like this, and I think that if we can just foster that energy, and build that momentum, then we can make change for the future.
For these researchers, being prepared for climate change will make all the difference. Katie Oliver, Metro News.
They've got a big goal to get most of the rubbish off the country's beaches by the end of the decade. But the current focus is closer to home, cleaning up around the beaches of Ōtautahi. Isabella Adams is covering the story and joins us now. Isabella.
They call it the mother of all cleanups. It is an annual event organised by the Avon Heathcote Estuary Trust. Over the weekend, 60 community groups and 20 schools volunteered to pick up rubbish all over Ōtautahi, cleaning up riverbanks and beaches.
It's a cold and gloomy morning, but spirits are high. Over 50 people arrive at New Brighton Beach ready for action.
Being part of the Mother of All Cleanups is particularly special because we're working together with lots of different community groups, and it's amazing to see the passion of so many people coming together, united by one cause to reduce litter and to see our city that little bit cleaner.
Volunteers are supplied with gloves and bags, and after hot drinks and a health and safety briefing, they're off.
A recent study found that Aotearoa is ranked the 15th worst producer of urban waste per capita, and that every Kiwi uses 39 kilograms of single-use plastic per year. These statistics make clean-up events like this even more important for our coastlines.
Organisers say for people worried about climate change, it's a way to make a difference.
There's a lot of doom and gloom out there about how much pollution is in our environment, how much plastic pollution is in our environment. But providing an event where people can come and feel like they can take action is really important.
Sustainable Coastlines isn't just worried about Christchurch. It wants at least 60% of rubbish off the country's beaches by 2030. To do that, we have to cut back on plastics.
It doesn't have to be a huge lifestyle change, just little differences, swapping out those easy single-use plastic items for more sustainable, reusable alternatives is a great way to start, and we really don't need everyone doing it perfectly. It's just everyone making those little changes can make a huge difference together.
Clean and tidy now, the way they want it to remain.
Organisers say 650 litres of rubbish was picked up just from New Brighton Beach alone, which is basically filling up 13 of those big white plastic bags provided. Emma says that picking up this much litter is not ideal, although she says they were pleased about the turnout and proud they could do their bit.
Thank you, Isabella. We now look at how art is helping those affected by the Christchurch terror attacks. The ink used was made by burning all the flowers given to the Muslim community. Davina Zimmer has more.
Smiling faces, trees and whānau. Janeth Gill is helping the survivors of March 15th heal their grief through the art of creativity.
With having conversations with the survivors, I realized that healing through art and photography will be a very beautiful and meaningful way to do something for them.
For the community, the creative process was about finding it as they came together and grieved their losses.
So this is me and my husband at Rakaya River. We went there for fishing, and as you all know, I lost him in the mosque attack, and I really miss him.
The ink was made from burning the flowers gifted to the Muslim community. This means the exhibition not only represents the survivors, but the community standing behind them.
We have the prints and the work, we mesh them together. And this is a very beautiful metaphor for unity in the context of diversity.
The purpose of displaying these pieces is to create a safe space for conversation about what happened, encouraging people to think about the messages these images convey.
A positive message. People should not dwell in what has happened. Well, you should not forget it, but you also should look at the future, because we will learn something from it, definitely.
The exhibition runs at Turanga Library for the next 2 weeks. Everyone's welcome to come look, think, discuss and learn. Davina Zimmer, Metro News.
It was all happening at Hororata over the weekend with the night sky aglow with hot air balloons. As Bailey-McDowell reports, the event was a sellout with young and old.
A night like no other. Run by the local trust and volunteers, the Hororata Glow Festival is for everyone.
And then my favourite thing is the people, because without the people it wouldn't be what it was, and that's right from the balloonists, the volunteers, the sponsors, the stall holders, and the people who come to see the joy and the magic that we create. I love that.
It's where balloonists journey from all over to light up the night sky and, of course, show off their rides.
We've got 2 balloons, so we've got the Cloud Hopper here. It's the only flying one in the country. It's a 31,000 foot cubic balloon, which basically means you could fit 31,000 basketballs inside it. Gas tank straps on the back, burner above your head, and away you go. This one behind us is a 90,000 cubic foot balloon, and that's the one I take when I want to go with some friends and be social.
And their names.
The name is Wildfire, or The Kitchen. So I spent the money I'd saved up for a new kitchen and bought a balloon. It's red going into yellow through orange and glows very, really well.
Selling out a week before go time, there was definitely a fan favourite.
So for the first time we've got an international balloon here. He's a special shape called Buster the Bulldog, and he's very cool. He's got a big tongue hanging out and teeth, and there's a huge amount of interest, and the kids and adults alike are just so excited to see Buster.
From walking inside a giant hot air balloon to enjoying some delicious kai, the prime goal was putting on a show. And what better way to do that than glow, glow and glow. Bailey-McDowell, Metro News.
E whai ake nei. Coming up next, basketball is becoming the game of choice for many secondary school kids. And a top British pastry chef is now selling sweet treats in Ōtautahi.
It's a bit of an adrenaline rush. Directing is like playing a sport, basically exactly the same thing. I'd say there's no difference between the two. I'm Sam Blackmore and I'm one of the studio directors for Metro News 2023.
Hi, I'm Iona Main and I'm one of the studio directors for Metro News 2023.
I guess as directors we're kind of like the conductors of the show, so everyone is working to bring in their own kind of elements, and then on the day of the show we bring it all together and make it look nice and cohesive.
A day as a studio director starts usually at 9 a.m. with a production meeting with all the heads of department down in the deep hull room, and we just go over who's going out on live cross, where those are going to be, who the anchors are, what side of the desks they're sitting on, that sort of stuff.
And then straight after the meeting I like to go check in with Ruby-Mae in VT, and I get all of the last words and the last visions, just so that when my script is given to me, I know exactly what my cues should be.
After that, we usually have a bit of time free. We chill out until we have our scripts, which we are given by the DA, which is Sophia. And then that's usually around 12 to 1 that we're writing down all the cues on the script that we have to say for the show. So when we're cutting to what camera, when we're going to live crosses, all that sort of stuff.
Then we have a briefing on the studio floor at 1 o'clock. And then when the anchors are done with hair and makeup, I meet them in the studio to give them a little briefing about how the day is going to run and how auto cue works, and just answering any questions, making them feel more comfortable.
At 3, we go for a full rehearsal of the show, and that's just to iron out any kinks that we might find in the program, and that's quite a stop-starty one. 3:30 we go for a little break, have a breather, and then we're back in here at 4 for a full studio record.
Any time that we're not in the studio or the control room, we're probably in the production office. It's a good place to be. They have feijoas, they have lollies. It's quite nice because then we can have a little nap on the beanbag while we're waiting for our scripts. But then if anyone does need us, they know where we are. It's kind of the hub of MetroNews.
No mai anō, welcome back. Basketball is at an all-time high in New Zealand, with more and more Kiwi kids taking to the court. Bouncing past rugby, it is now the most played sport within Christchurch secondary schools. McKayla Wright reports.
Foot traffic on these courts is never ending, with basketball now the #1 school sport in the region.
I mean, you can look to our primary school competition and we can just speak to the Cows one. Those numbers have consistently been going up by 20% each year, so doubling every 4 years. So, it doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
The increase could be down to several things: the popularity of American basketball and star player Steven Adams, and improvements to junior basketball here.
It's just a great sport. I feel like anyone can play it, boys, girls. We've got it starting at such a young level now.
Although the sport is technically non-contact, there's a fair share of run-ins and tumbles. But strict rules and referees are quick to pull up dangerous play.
In terms of safety, definitely safer than sports like rugby, etc., in terms of concussion rates, but you do get knocked around, that's for sure, but that's part of youth development.
Basketball in Aotearoa has seen an exponential growth in the last decade, overtaking rugby to be the second most participated secondary school sport in the last 5 years. The sport offers an environment of high collaboration and a relatively safe gameplay, giving it nothing but slam dunks in its direction.
Parents agree.
Well, my son played rugby last year and he's not huge, I'm not huge, and so there's a few times when quite big boys a lot bigger than him landed on him. I could hear the air just coming out of his lungs, so it's much less stressful as a parent watching him play basketball.
And kids love the game too.
Well, I play both, but I like basketball a lot better.
The downside of its popularity: not enough courts or referees.
You can't have a quality basketball competition without quality referees, so we're really putting a concerted effort in at the grassroots to recruiting refs.
Basketball, determined to keep the ball rolling and continue its rise.
1, 2, 3, basketball!
McKayla Wright, MetroNews.
A top British pastry chef who's cooked for the rich and famous is now catering for the average Kiwi and loving it. Charlotte Mulder is baking up a storm and joins us now. Charlotte.
Travelling over 19,000 kilometres across the world to chase her dream, Julie Hahn is now specialising in high tea patisseries. However, those sweet treats took years to perfect, which Julie did by working alongside some of the best chefs in the world.
Macaroons and chocolate cubes are just a couple favourites for Table Bloom patisseries. For this British pastry chef, owning her own business was always the dream.
I had this name, Table Bloom,
years ago back in London because I wanted to open a catering company with my friends at the time. But it didn't happen because working in a hotel or like restaurants, you work like at least 12, 14 hours a day.
Initially dead set on graphic design, Julie took a different turn.
But when you do pastry, especially for like plating, you have to be very creative. You need to understand the science of it, you need to understand the color theme and then the flavor, everything.
Now she looks forward to seeing her customers' reactions.
And I found this beautiful world called the pastry. And it's not just about cooking or flavors, it's also about, the look and how people like get wowed when they see, beautiful desserts. That's what got me really into it.
And for good reason. Importing international ingredients helps bring that unique taste.
These are mainly from Africa or South America. We also have from Mexico and Ghana.
She travelled extensively, cooking for the rich and famous.
So Elton John and Coldplay and Flores and the Machine and Chanel, Dior, Omega and many other.
Now she's based in a satellite kitchen working alongside other local businesses.
You have to love what you make and what you do. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough job.
A delicious way to end the afternoon.
Now, if you're keen for some of those sweet treats, Julie has a stall at the local farmers market in Riccarton on Saturdays. However, for the future, she hopes to expand her business, holding workshops for those up-and-coming bakers. She loves being creative with her food, so she wants to share what she has learnt with others.
Thank you, Charlotte. Two of Christchurch's favourite felines are retiring from public life. After 5 years entertaining customers at a local cafe, the furry friends are now getting a well-earned nap. Here's Sam Coughlan.
Hundreds of cats have come through the Catnap Cafe in Sydenham since it opened in 2017. But two of their oldest residents are about to enjoy a well-earned retirement. Henry, who's white and tabby, and Holmes, who's black, have lived here ever since Cat Rescue brought them in as kittens.
So Henry's been sort of the sort of fan favourite. Everyone knows Henry. People will come here, back to see him lots and lots of times.
As they've aged, the cats have become shy and withdrawn, and the decision was made to remove them from the cafe.
Whereas once they were, a bit more proactive about seeking out people and seeking out attention, Holmes is, see you buddy, Holmes has just become just a little more anxious about noises and things. If a truck goes past, he's just a little more unsettled about that, and it'll take him a while to chill back out. So we just found that it's just not fair on him to constantly be having those little things sort of stressing him out.
The two cats have lived here for over 5 years, but when they leave, they'll be in safe hands, with owners Alyssa and Nate taking them in. A perfect situation.
It's going to be good, they can come sit on the couch with us at home, they can just chill out. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose a few customers. I think they're going to be missed a lot, so many regulars have watched these guys grow up from basically kittens to where they are now, and that's been really cool,
So, what are your plans for retirement? And now, these feline friends have found their forever home. Sam Coughlan, MetroNews.
Now an inspirational story. Imagine being 83 years old and tapping your way to the top. Well, Freddie Wilkie went along and met a woman who is doing exactly that.
Many of us start to relax and do less as we get older, but Barbara Bevan Joyce is bucking the trend. She says she's a born performer and her special love is tap dancing.
Well, it keeps me fit. I love the music. Even though I'm a singer, it's sort of taken over. I just like performing, I like stage work, I like the clothes. She enjoys a whole host of different activities, but tap dancing is her favourite. She still competes at 83 years old. A friend of hers who trains with her, Diane, told me just what an inspiration she really is.
Yeah, we both enjoy it together, and we meet for coffee now and again, and we've become friends through tap dancing. She's a character in herself. And no, she is, and she tries hard, she works hard, and she really does practice, and yeah, absolutely loves it.
And looking back over the years, Barbara has plenty to be proud of. Inside are numerous awards and certificates, most of them relating to tap dancing, including her most recent exam.
I got 86 out of 100 with dissection. I did not believe it. I think he might have felt sorry for me. I don't know, but I was absolutely delighted because, when you get to my age, that's really great. I was so excited, you've got no idea.
And by the way, the person singing that Frank Sinatra classic is, you guessed it, Barbara. Freddie Wilkie, Metro News.
And now for weather. It was mostly wet in Ōtautahi today, reaching a high of 12. Cantabrians can expect a cloudy evening, going down to an overnight low of 6. Tomorrow will be a partly sunny day with a high of 13 degrees.
That's all for Metro News tonight.
For those stories and more, head over to our website metronews.co.nz, or you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok.
We'll be back tomorrow. Ko Katie Oliver aho.
Ko Sophie Vaughan aho. Thank you for joining us.
Mate wa Ōtautahi.